My name is McKenney, and I am a repurposed wood guitar builder. I just love restoring anything that can be restorable and has a hope and a prayer. I work at NWTC as a part-time instructor for them. I teach students at risk how to build using different models, such as guitars, to show them that things can be done without spending a lot of money, and that way it gives them an opportunity to work with their hands. I love guitars. I love guitar music, and when I first started playing, I was very young, but later on, as my guitars would get broken and were abused a little bit as a young person, I would have somebody fix them, and I kept thinking, you know, why can't I do this, you know? So I just started doing it, and I got pretty good at it. I'm not trying to brag, but I learned how to do it, self-taught, and I did a lot of research also. Had to understand how they work, how the bouts work, and the best way to do that is to take one apart and put it back together. This guitar is built from numerous pieces. There's well over 150 separate pieces in it. The back was the first part that was built, and before I cut the back out, I routed the shape of the guitar I wanted, and then I glued in all these small pieces of walnut around the edge to give me the thickness of the bouts, the body. And then on top, I kind of took pieces of ash and maple, cherry, walnut, and started cutting pieces in the shape of a butterfly. And that's how that all happened. It's put together like a puzzle. Once it was dry fitted like a puzzle, then I glued it together and established it. I glued it arched, so that if you notice, the guitar is arched so that it picks up the bridge properly and everything is in line. And the neck is a through body neck, and this is actually a dual chambered, but it's connected here. It's a dual chambered guitar. And the truss rod is actually made out of old brake line, automotive brake line, with a treaded rod through the center. And I back cut the brake line so that when you tighten the rod, it forces it to bend opposite the strings. So it does the job. This thing, I have about 3 months worth of part-time work in it. It took a little more work than I anticipated. I got carried away with it. The body of the guitar, of the butterfly, is actually rootstock from a flowering crab that I pulled out for a fella. And rootstock from a lot of trees, depending where they're growing. This one happened to be growing near an area where there's a lot of ore. It picks up the color of the metal in the ground. And that's why it's so bright red colored. And the same with these. These are from the same rootstock here. And they're all natural colored. There's no stain in this at all. Everything is just natural, which makes it easier to put together, actually. You don't have to try to match anything up. The car guitar was influenced by my 47 Buick Roadmaster. I wanted to make something that I could drag along to the car shows, and a fella dropped off. What started it, first of all, a fella dropped off an old burnt-out 38 radio, and the top was burnt out of it. And I'd laid around the shop here for quite some time, and I didn't know what I wanted to do with it. Finally, it dawned on me I could make a replica of a Wayne's gas pump. And I happen to have a lens from a 1938 Chevy in the back, and that's what made the globe, the lens from the Chevy. The rest of it's made out of that radio. I cut the center out and glued the two halves together. Once I got that put together, and I figured, well, I could put a guitar in there, because I'd like to see that headstock show up in the globe, and that's what I pretty much fell in love with, the headstock, and that's how I started. And it just grew from there, and it started to take on the look of my car with an attitude. And I used the headlights as the volume, and I used the trip lights as the tone control. And it does play, and it plays quite well. People they have a lot of fun. It's more of a fun guitar. It's not designed for the best listening guitar, but it's a lot of fun. I start with the wood. It depends on the wood that I have. I actually have old maple, we call them wafers, that I cut down a big tree at my house. I saved these big wafers. I'm gonna build one with them. I just haven't thought about exactly how I'm gonna create that yet. And maple's difficult to work with, but I'm gonna give it a shot and see what I can do. It's relaxing for sure. And be able to see a result, and that works. blows me away. Every time I do it, I get excited about it. I want to take it out and play it. That's what it does. And I really like showing people. People don't realize the talent that they may have buried that they haven't really. They're just afraid to try it. Just try something. You don't need exotic. You don't need expensive equipment. As you can see, the shop is not geared with expensive equipment. It's pretty much wore out stuff, but it all works, and you don't need to have a lot of money to make the stuff work. It's pretty much your imagination in your hands. And if you can do that, you can make it work. And you're building out of things people were throwing out. You're not taking a new tree down for it. You know, you're building out of stuff people are throwing out. Everything is repurposed. I will not go down to Menards and buy a new 2x4 or a new anything. Everything has to be repurposed. That's the object of it. First of all, I do a lot of restoration work on homes, so I save a lot of stuff. I actually have old doors from the dome over there, very exotic doors made out of choice hardwoods. They were going to throw out. Well, you know, I'm not proud. I'll go in a dumpster, and if I see something nice, I'm going to grab it. Never throw away if you can use it. I guess that's my concept. I want things just to keep moving. They don't have to get thrown in the garbage somewhere. So that's my thing.